I flew in from Orlando, and back in April, I got a phone call, and it was Pickering. And I had known about the Shrine of the Eternals, and Eddie always said, anytime you're about to go into a museum, your day is numbered. Well, you might be wondering a few things. I like to do some storytelling like the king. I brought him with me. I wanted to grant him his last wish, to be buried underneath home plate in Dodger Stadium. And I asked him, why would you want to be buried at home plate and not on the pitcher's mound? I don't know if many of you remember the game when he actually struck out 6 of the greatest sluggers of all time in Dodger Stadium. Wills, McCovey, May, Robinson, Killebrew, who am I leaving off? And Morty Will. And feeling well. And then we lived in the San Diego area for 3 months out of the year because we were on tour for 8 to 9 months, sometimes never knowing where we were going to end up. And so I said, hey, Pete's doing a performance down here. I've never met him. I'd like to meet him. So he brought us up, and Pete said to the king, you know, when you put out all that PR of all those sluggers, how come you didn't put me down? You struck me out twice. King said, Pete, you weren't a slugger at the time. How many people could get by with that, right? But he would say, Steve and I and Harry have been trying to work with the Dodgers to actually maybe create a display. And I have to tell you, Eddie died a little over 6 years ago, day after my father. And it's a little difficult these last 6 years, but baseball always kept me going. I appreciate this. I'm Title IX. Men sometimes don't like that. But when I was 9 years old, I wanted to become the first Detroit Tiger player. And then my dad took me to see a king in his court. And of course, I was on his shoulder, standing room only. And that's when I decided I've got to do something with my life. So I started booking the king in his court all in the South and raising money for charity. That's the one thing that aggravates me with Major League Baseball players that do not sign for children. They made all the money. The king never turned down anyone for an autograph, including until the day he died. Even his doctor asked him for an autograph. Properly in LA. And I happen to be from Detroit. I don't tell many people that, especially after the headlines. But I used to go to the stadium, and I knew Willie Horton and Al Kaline and Norm Cass. And my dad used to take me to the bar after the game when the guys would tell stories and play pool. And I sat and listened, and I got to meet them. Well, they still run the Detroit Tigers. Willie Horton, he's a little under the weather, and Al Kaline. And if I can't get the LA Dodgers to work with me, then I feel proper that since I decided to spend the rest of my life helping children and senior citizens through the game of ball, including the handicapped children, and the said, we'll let you play anybody and anywhere you want to go. Well, at that time in Canada, it was all gravel. We're not any paved roads way back then. And that's when he started to work with the U.S. government through being as an ambassador for the USIA program. We always played for MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. Eddie didn't believe to make money off of the troops. We were there to entertain them and give them something to remember home by. So in 2006, I called the Yankees, a few people I know, and I said, look, I need you to get some T-shirts, hats, souvenirs for our troops down in Gitmo. And they said, well, when do you want them? I said, tomorrow. Well, to get anything clear to Jack Maybe Station and get to Gitmo takes a lot of doing. But we got there. Well, the king really was a jarhead, and he hadn't walked in 6 years. There was no way he was going to allow anybody in the Navy to carry him up the stairs. I I stood at the bottom praying you wasn't going to have a heart attack when you got up there. And then once all was said and done, the director behind us wanted us to visit with them some. And there were spies on the plane. I mean, this was the real deal. And then they said, well, we got a Delta infomercial, we're making it times. I said, well, wait a minute, I got the DVD. You know, can we put that in? It's a lot better, you know, lessen attention. So we did. So the stewardess comes over to me and she goes, here's the mic. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure, I don't know how carny that we were. And of course, everybody applauded. And when we disembarked, the most incredible thing I ever saw in my life was that all of the soldiers that had their M16, they put them down on the ground, and I have pictures of them, four men, carrying the king down in his wheelchair, step by step, with our USA flag on the side of the wheelchair. And then when we got down there were probably about 20 other soldiers, and they put their guns down because they said, "Hail to the king." DVD for the grand opening of the communist airport. That's pretty good. Be careful for what you wish for, though. And then, of course, I don't know if you know, but Eddie not only played softball, and he hated that word, by the way. He called it basketball. And Ted Williams told him he called it kitten ball. He knew about you. Well, if anybody was that, he'd say, well, what do you have to say? He said, oh, I know what that FAY-ner's all about. It isn't his great pitching. You got 4 great batters back to back to back. If I did keep Jerry DiMaggio, wouldn't it be any kind of antique too? Think about that one. And then we played NFL teams. We played hockey, with you some of the things my experience has taught me. Worldly success means nothing if we leave the master pitcher out of our lives and refuse to let him make the calls. I was reared in a religious atmosphere, but decided early in life that God had no particular interest in me. Foul became an obsession with me, and worldly fame and fortune my only God. But the master pitcher says, "Thou shalt not have other gods before me." Through it all, he never gave me up. He struck out a few times and gave me intervals with nothing to do but think. But he never forgot me. Recently, during one of those times of enforced quiet and meditation, I rediscovered the joy of complete alignment with my heavenly promoter, who has completely changed the pattern of my life and given me peace I would hardly have believed possible. I had many trophies, symbols of worldly success, to decorate my den. But now I long for the trophies mentioned in the beloved hymn, the old rugged cross. When my trophies as I lay down, I feel that we are living in momentous times. The world looks like one vast ball field. The bases are loaded. We have already struck out too many times. It looks to me like the last inning. The old world has only one more chance, and that chance is Christ. This life is just a training camp to see how we play the game, and it does make a difference. The last batter to strike out in your lifetime and mine. All good things must come to an end, and one of these seasons will be my last one, without perhaps too much advance notice. So when the time comes for me to lay down the old softball, I want to feel that I have done a little more than just entertain my fans and friends. Young and old alike, I am in there pitching for the master and playing the fair game, clean and square, in preparation for the big leagues in God's eternity. Thank you very much. God bless you.